September 24th. Welcome everyone to the 4th round of the Talent Factory League here in Spain. And we are ready to go for qualifying one here at the circuit de Catalunya Barcelona. While we are still waiting for everyone. To leave the pit lane. All settings ready, and we are waiting to go for the first drivers to go on the outlap, and it's Charles in the Ferrari who heads the field just in front of Joey. And just as the last weeks, Charles is the first driver to go for a hot lap. And it looks like something is happening to TFL Sven and Yardi in P2 and P11. Because they've got the checkered flags behind their name. Don't know what that means. But certainly Charles is going for his first run here in qualifying one. So we'll turn on, check map, lap data and telemetry, and go on board with Charles for his first hot lap. Just going a bit wide at the exit of turn 2. Then the flat out turn 3 as it was in F1 2020. And it might be with the right setup in F1 2021. It's a bit hard to spot your braking point here. Going onto the power, Charles almost losing the rear of the car. But still going for his lap. And he now invalidates his hot lap. So this lap won't count for Charles, but let's go on board with Joey, as also invalidated his lap in the Williams. Same corner. Turn 8 will prove difficult for the drivers, as there are a lot of people on their outlap at the moment. Let's go on board with the McLaren of Damiano, as there has already been a car turned around. The Alfa Romeo of Jerry van Bussel. As the Ferrari of Charles heads for another hot lap, but immediately invalidates his next run in turn 1. Yagizan meanwhile on the inter tire. Some people may be wondering why he's on the intermediate compound. Just to check if his wheel settings are in the correct modes. His steering is calibrated correctly. But we'll go back on board with Damiano because he will set the first competitive lap time of this session. It will be a 1:16.400, immediately followed by Yagizan, but of course he's on the intermediate tire. Jerry from Bussel, I think that is, yes, will start his hot lap after spinning it at the exit of turn 3. Charles in the Ferrari will be the next car, but he invalidated his run, of course, and will head into the pits. A while back, Jarno lets past a few cars. I think he's letting past Joey. Yes, Joey is being let past by Jarno. Joey is completing his lap, but it won't be a pretty competitive lap time with a 1:23.685. Red Bull of Joop, I think it is, yes, Joop. Not putting it together, but going into his hot lap now. And looking at the left hand side of the screen, he has used all of his deployment, but I think that's just a bit of a visual glitch, because obviously he's pushing his ERS. Let's go on board with the championship leader, TFL Davy. He's on his outlap right now. The winner of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Since then, in Baku, did not have the best race, but last race, and I have to think what last race was in Italy, scored P6. And is still leading the championship at the moment. Davy going into his hot lap now. Putting open the DRS, 8th gear, down towards turn 1, braking at the 50 meter sign. Not going over the track limits. Will Davy go full throttle through turn 3? Yes, he will. And ending the first sector with a 21.794. Purple in the first sector. Going to turn 5, a bit of a lock-up. You can hear the squeezing sound of the tire. And onto the most challenging corner of the circuit for most. Turn 9 Kamsa. Last game it was pretty much flat out. But of course with the new handling of these 2021 cars, it isn't in this game. Purple in the second sector as well for Davy, so he will probably go to pole position for now. Of course in qualifying one that doesn't matter as much. Missing the apex at the chicane, but hitting it pretty nicely at the exit. On the power, going towards the line, it will be a 1:16.420, losing the time to Damiano in the final sector. As Apostaki is now going into his hot lap. As TFL Jensen now crossing the line, it will be P8 with a 1:16.671, goes P3. And a lot of people have not completed valid runs yet, or at least competitive valid runs, because P5 to P17 all have to go out to set a competitive lap time. Let's go on board with Ference. Ference of course making his debut as black box with a 1:16.397, goes 0.003 of a second faster than Damiano in the McLaren. Ference of course making his debut in Italy. He has been handed a few penalties from Italy, but he has learned himself from those penalties as Julian goes a 1:16.119 in the Aston Martin. It goes more than 2/10 faster than Black Box in the Mercedes. Ken Ferrans beat that lap time though. Onto the DRS straight. Braking at the 100-meter sign, turning into La Caixa hairpin into the twisty third sector. To third gear momentarily, shot giving to fourth. Onto the power, going towards the line. It will be a 1:16.153 for Ferrans in the Haas. Goes P2 with that lap time. As the Red Bull, I think no, it's the Red Bull Fruitful going on a hot lap now. But it looks like he has invalidated his lap time already. I don't know what exactly is going on with the telemetry. Because looking at the left hand side of the screen, oh, as Fruitful almost loses it. Looking at the left hand screen, we already saw the deployments being used for every driver. Of course, that's nonsense. Fruitful goes a bit wide. The AlphaTauri driver, meanwhile, of Yagizan, going P8 with a 16.785. And I think Charles will cross the line now to go P9, a 16.834. And the 11th through 17th drivers still need to set a better lap time. So let's go on board with Joop in the Red Bull, opening the DRS down towards turn 10. Just taking a little bit more curb on the inside. Will he put it better than P12 where he is at the moment? I think he'll overtake Joey, but it hasn't been a tight lap from him as he invalidates his run on the final corner. It was a 17.7, which is not competitive at all, but it would put him P11. AlphaTauri of Yagizan going into the pit lane. The only driver out on track that is currently doing a hot lap seems to be Charles. He'll go into the pit lane as well. As if had they did lap somewhere. As Joop goes off into the gravel at turn 4. And a lot of drivers not getting to grips with the circuit. Blocking up on his inlet, it seems. As Sven and Jordi still seem to be in the pit lane. As Ariano and Fruitful in P15 and 16. They have not set a lap time yet. Apostaki meanwhile on his outlap. As is Joey. Sven has left the session. I think will try to rejoin the session. Now where can Apostaki put it? He's P7 currently. 6/10 of pole position. And he'll go for his next hot lap right now. I think his lap time will be safe, especially if Jordi and Sven won't be able to set a competitive lap time. I expect Jarno and Fruitful to get out of those positions that they are currently in, as Ferrans has retired from the session. As Apostaki goes purple in the first sector, according to the minimap in the right hand side. So let's stay on board with him. Not invalidating his lap towards turn 9. Not flat out. On the brakes. A little bit of a luck up once again. Into the final sector. As Charles in the Ferrari has retired his car in the pit lane. He thinks he's safe with the 116.8. And surely Apostaki in P7 is safe. Oh, but Apostaki has gone over the track limits and invalidated his run. There are a few cars out on track doing hot laps now. Joey being one of them in the Williams. 6/10 faster at the moment than his last lap. But that doesn't say as much because his last lap time was the 1:20.4. Which is still 4 seconds slower than the man in P10, Yüksel. But he's probably improving his lap time, Joey, here. And it will be 1:19.2. And the thing is, I think that is putting him safe for Q2 if Yardi and Sven won't be able to get back into the session. Yüksel seems to have abandoned his lap time. Looking at the dirt on his left front tire, he has gone into the gravel trap. This Jerry with a 126.3 is going for another hot lap. And he'll have to push for it because if Joop sets a lap time anywhere near a competitive lap time, as Joop retires from the session, talking about you. So I think Jerry will be safe. I think there's a weird situation going on right now where some drivers aren't even able to get out of the pit lane. Like Yardi, like Sven. As Jerry is 1.5 tenths up on his previous best attempt. Probably has made a mistake in the final sector somewhere, so he will improve massively. Going through the final chicane. Just rolling the car over the apexes. And down towards the finish line. Will set a 1:17.0. And that puts him P11, which is safe for the time being. And if Yardi, Jono and Sven won't go out in time, that surely means that they will be the ones knocked out in this qualifying session. And the 1:28.4 from Joop is safe to get through to Q2. And we're a bit here with a weird situation for 3 drivers who haven't even set a lap time will be knocked out. And of course the drivers on track don't need to complete the laps. Let's talk some facts about the circuits then, if we don't have any lap times to talk about. As we go on board with Davey, he is trying to set a lap time, but that doesn't matter because he's through anyway. All cars behind him from position 6 to 12 almost have retired. Only Yagizan is still in the pit lane, but he can't set a lap time, so he's safely through. The circuit for the last few years, from 2017 onwards, has had only one winner here in real life, and that's Lewis Hamilton. So he's pretty dominant on the track, but the 10 years before 2017, the track has had 10 different winners in 10 years. So the dominance seen today by Lewis Hamilton at the track is certainly not something from the past. As Davey crosses the line with a bit of a spin, celebrates. He's going through to Q2 as Damiano is going into the gravel trap as well. And this has been an extraordinary qualifying session for all the wrong reasons. So I'm glad it's finally done. And we have our drivers who move on to Q2. But as we were talking about the 10 drivers that have won here before, one of them, of course, being Pastor Maldonado in 2012. One of the most shocking wins in recent history. For me, of course. For me, at least. And so, Julian has the fastest lap time in Q1 with a 1:16.119. Close behind in the Haas. TFL Ferens with a 1:16.153. 2/10 back, it's IFR Blackbox in P3. Damiano 3 thousandths behind with a 1:16.400 on his first run. And his McLaren teammate TFL Davy with a 1:16.420. Complete the top 5 here in Q1. As Joey replies in the comments, never drive with ABS off and traction off. It's just a bit of a learning curve. And he's getting used to it with a 1:19.2. It's of course always better than the man in P14, 12.3 seconds behind. But he's still through TFL Joop. And Joey getting through in P13. But I'm curious what happened with the bottom drivers in Q1. Weren't they able to get out of the pit lane? Were they disconnected from the session? We'll hear from them again, I hope. And hopefully we'll see them race just in a few minutes after the qualifying has ended. Of course, qualifying 2, while Yardi seems to have gotten through without even setting a lap time. So that would have meant that the lap time set by Yagizan on his intermediate tire even was good enough for Q2. But we won't see, as Yagizan is leaving the pit lane, but I think we won't see that again in Q2. Of course, qualifying 2 determines the starting tire if you qualify within the top 10. And the thing is, this year, after the update, especially with the tires on this track, the softs seem to deteriorate very fast. So maybe 6 to 7 laps that they will hold on. The medium tire seems to be a pretty good race tire. Not last as long as you might expect. And the hard tire, with what I heard, 22 laps, around the 65% mark, it will be an interesting race for the tires. And of course the strategy then. And what will be the tire strategy by the people on track. So let's enable the telemetry once again, and we see Jensen, Charles, Davy, Julian and Damiano all on the medium tire, with only Charles on his outlap, just behind this man in the AlphaTauri. As Jerry van Bussel is the first driver to go into his hot lap, but let's go on board with Yagizan and watch his lap from the offboard, going towards turn 1 on the soft tire. I expect this to be the fastest lap out of any of the drivers out on track. Not only because he's on the softest compound of tire, but also as his capabilities of a driver are very high. And this is a very skilled driver, as he loses his car as we say that. Sorry for jinxing Yagizan, but he loses his car as TFL Charles in the Ferrari gets past, so let's go on board with him. And Yagizan won't set the fastest lap time in the session right away. On towards Kamsa. What can Charles do with the medium tire? He keeps it in 6th gear. Just releasing gas a little bit. Purple in the 2nd sector. As Jerry from Brazil crosses a line, he will go fastest with the 1:17.191. We've seen low 16s in qualifying 1, so that will be beaten. I can surely say that. Charles not having the best run through the chicane, but can he get close to the 1:17.1 set by Jerry? Yes, he can. He'll set a 1:17.1 for himself. 21 thousandths faster than Jerry, but he's on a compound harder. Next driver, Joop, after Joey sets a 1:20.2. Joop behind. Sets 1:19.871, and the two previous teammates don't seem to get along with the Spanish circuit at the moment, because a 1:19 and a 1:20.2 are not the lap times that you want to see. As Apelstein seems to have retired in the pit lane. What is it with people retiring and not setting lap times here today? We'll go on board with Ference in the Haas. Julian, meanwhile, is also on his outlap, but he is on the medium tire. So the drivers closest to each other in the final, in the last qualifying session, are on different tire compounds. And Ference seems to think the better of it and will go into the pit lane as Charles has retired from the session in P1. You gotta tell a lot of things, but this has been a weird qualifying session, and I think the weirdest qualifying session I've seen in a long time. As Damiano in his McLaren has just gone over the line to go into his hot lap. As Yagizan has changed his tires to the medium compound, there's a lot of drivers are on the medium compound and are trying to get through to Q3 with those mediums for the better strategy in the race. I for one have no idea what we will see. Will it be a 2-stop, 1-stop? Will we see any soft tire from the people that won't start on them? So people outside of the top 10, or the people who set a lap time with the medium tires getting through to Q3. Damiano going purple in the 2nd sector. Joey in the Williams in front will have to go out of the way for Damiano, or will Damiano get blocked here? It is close, but he didn't get blocked. Or will he? Or will he? He will get a slipstream though, as Damiano goes at 1:16.825, and Joey certainly was a bit in the way, but didn't hinder him all too much. Julian, meanwhile, goes at 1:16.982. Also on the medium tires, 1.5 temps down, and Black Box goes 16.846 as Jensen goes at 1:16.779 to go P1 here in qualifying 2. Just the fastest lap time on the medium tires. As Fruitful also came out on the medium tires. Jerry, meanwhile, has set a lap time on the softs and is in the pits. Joop is in the pits as well. And Joey needs to get into the pits with 3-lap-old soft tires, because those tires won't hold on too long in the race. But let's get to Yagizan. What will his lap time on the medium tire be? Will it be fastest in qualifying 2? It will be fastest in qualifying 2. So close at the front. It's only a few 100s down from Jensen. It's 16.767 as the Mercedes of Black Box heads into the pit lane, and Juxol heads into the pit lane as well. Let's go on board with Fruitful because he's going to set a lap time on the medium tires. In his Red Bull, of course, taking pole position in Baku, admitting it was not what he expected to take at Baku. But a welcome surprise anyway. And those have been his only 2 points of the season as of yet, as Ferrens goes to 16.441 on the medium tires, 3/10 faster than the AlphaTauri of Yagizan. Can Fruitful get anywhere close to that time? Ferrens 3/10 of the time. It was fastest in qualifying 1 and 1:16.1 on a compound harder. And from the offboard, it looks like a pretty good lap from Fruitful. It's a 50.8 after the second sector. On towards the twisty third sector. And it looks like Fruitful has a bit of a problem handling the car going into the twisty section. He takes a curb at the exit, and that loses him time going through the grass and just throwing away the lap time at the end of the lap. As Davey goes P2, 16.589 in the McLaren. Getting reasonably close to Ferrens in the Haas. As Ferrens gets into the pit lane. But Davey, having set 3 laps on those medium compounds, meaning he'll have a higher tire wear starting on those medium tires than he would have liked if he gets through to Q3 on these tires. And as Apostache, Charles and Johnson have already retired, I don't think there's a high chance Davey won't get through to Q3 on those tires. As Jardy still in the pit lane, I think there's a problem with it in the net connection, because that could be the only reason why he's still in the pit lane. Fruitful taking the new route at the circuit. Of course, the 2021 Grand Prix has been the first one to use the new layout of the circuit. Turn 10 has been reprofiled, as has turn 11, but that has not been implemented in the game as of yet. As Aston Martin of Juxol on the medium tire, trying to set another lap on those medium compound of tire. Touching all of the curbs on the inside. And is currently slower than his previous attempt by 5/100ths of a second. And Joey in P12 is setting a new lap as well, getting across the start finish as we speak, going into turn 1 now. But this man Juxol, he's 2.5 tenths faster, so that would probably put him P9 if he can find a little bit more in this final sector on those medium tires. He doesn't seem to put the lap together. A lot of lockups, especially here in the last sector. Towards the line, will it be an improvement? It will be an improvement. Even beat Charles in the Ferrari. It goes P8, just behind his teammate Julian in P7. And has Ferenc set his lap time on the soft compound of tire? Let's look at Ferenc. No, Ferenc has set his lap time on the medium. But if you are wondering, soft tire is displayed on the right side of his name. And that means he has selected the tire in the pits. That doesn't mean he is setting a lap time on the soft tire. But he's coming out of the pits now. And looking at the tire he has on, it is the soft tire. So he is on an outlap on those soft tires. Question is, will he set a lap time on those tires? Joop in the Red Bull. Trying to set another lap time. It is on a soft tire as well. It just doesn't seem to have the confidence in the car. 7th gear through Kamsa. It's a bit high in the gears as well. Bit of a lock up. He just can't seem to put the lap times together. As the circuit is proving difficult for a lot of drivers. But at least he'll set a lap time this time. It will be an improvement, most definitely. It will be a 16.9, goes even P7. Faster than Yuxel Julian, both Aston Martins. Charles almost getting knocked out. If Joey or Jordy being inside the pit lane, won't set any lap time. As Fruitful is retired as well, so he's most definitely out. Without even setting a lap time. Is there only 10 seconds left here in qualifying 2. Davey not going for a fast lap as of yet. Damiano invalidating his run, so he won't improve. Juke not improving, going slowly in the 3rd sector. Only Joey seems to be on a fast lap as of now. But he was 6/10 up. It's still 6/10 up on his previous best attempt of a 1:18.6. So I think it's safe to say that Apostasje, Fruitful, Jordi, Joey and Jerry are out of qualifying. Only if Joey can prove a miracle. No, he won't. He is out of qualifying. Ferenc fastest here in qualifying 2. Just ahead of TFL Davy. Ferenc making his debut in Italy, seems to be on it right away. And I think Ferenc will have a pretty good shot at taking pole position, as does Davy. But don't count any driver out as of yet. Joop, the only driver to get through to Q3 with the soft tires. And I think he'll probably find it difficult in the race to keep those tires alive. Joey saying in the comments he drove 16 laps in total in qualifying. Well, he was on track a lot. And you being happy he got through to qualifying 3. Looking in the Discord. But we'll go live for the final qualifying session of today. Q3. who will take pole position here at the circuit, the Barcelona Catalunya. Put it in the comments. Who do you think will put it on pole position? Will it be one of the Ferraris who have both gone out? As the first two cars, as we have seen a lot of times before. Well, it may be Damiano in the McLaren, who won last time out in Italy. Or will it be a surprise? Might be one of the Aston Martins. Put it in the comments and we'll see if you get it right. Black Box looking to bounce back from a few results that he probably would want to forget, especially the race in Baku. Italy has been a nice comeback, but he expected a lot more from it. In Bahrain, he wanted to win. So this man here really wants to win his first race. Well, that's not the way to do it. Keep it on the tarmac. As Damiano will be the first car to set a lap time here in Q3. Sorry, the two Ferraris have gone first, as you saw in the Aston Martin and Julian in the Aston Martin. But let's go on board with Damiano anyway. Getting through turn 7, keeping it turn 3, keeping it pretty close to the curbs. 21.7 for the first sector. Getting close to the grass on the left hand side. Braking into turn 5. Getting on the power, keeping it within the track limits. Getting towards the part of the track where track limits are really the problem. He seems to be getting on fine. Through Kamsa. Keeping it flat, it seemed. In 6th gear. 50.1, fastest middle sector according to the map. And I think the first Ferrari will set the lap time. It's a 17.0, but that can go a lot faster. Janssen proving it immediately, 1:16.6, but that can also go pretty much 5/10, 6/10 faster, I think. Damiano putting over the DRS will put a 16.0 for provisional pole. And that's exactly 6/10 faster than Janssen, off by 1/1000th of a second. So this man in the McLaren is currently on pole position. And Davey, his teammate, while Black Box goes a 15.956, that's the way to start your weekend and to start the celebrations onto winning the race. Hopefully for him, he can convert his pole position, if he will get it, to a race win. That's really what he would have liked in one of the previous races, but he'll go for it this time. Davey, meanwhile, 49.9 after the second sector. It looks to be on a very fast lap, the McLaren driver. But will he beat the 15.956 set by Black Box, which is provisional pole at the moment? Davey heading out towards the finish line as Ferrand sets a 15.8. Davey sets a 15.6 and is on provisional pole for the Spanish Grand Prix. Going 1.5 tenths faster than Ferrand in the Haas. And Black Box heading into the pit lane now, preparing for his second lap here in Q3, as there are 7 minutes left on the clock. Davey is on provisional pole in the McLaren. His teammate in P4. And the constructors that are currently leading are looking good for the race. So Davey, who has not had the best qualifying sessions. Like in Bahrain, he started P11. This time he can start from pole position if he can keep this place. And he would want a very boring race from himself. Just driving it out and finishing first. But of course, it's Talent Factory League and that won't happen. And all drivers in the pit lane, except for the two Ferraris, who have both gone out at the same time to go for a second run. Number 21 Ferrari of Charles. First of the Ferraris to set a second lap time here in Q3. But I wonder if they have enough time to get into the pit lane once again after this run instead of third lap time. I don't think so. So it would be a pretty weird choice to go out now instead of later. The track has more grip. Charles getting into the chicane, exiting the chicane, and going for it looked like final run in qualifying 3. A 17.0 was his previous best attempt, is 1.4 seconds down from pole position. At least provisional pole position. What can he do in his Ferrari? The first sector, 21.8, 14 thousandths of a second faster than his previous best attempt. Braking for turn 5, no lock up. Heading down towards turn 7. It looks like a safe lap from Charles and Ferrari, but might still be an improvement. Turning open the DRS, and he's 1/10 faster, so that would put him at a 16.9. Maybe he can find some time in the final sector, which might be able to beat his teammates in P7, but I don't see him winning any more position as he completely bottles the chicane, heads into the pit lane, and now if he has a new tire, can put that on. As Jensen goes P4. Nice lap time from Jensen, 15.9. And talking about Charles, he'll put on a new set of the soft tire. And definitely has enough time to set a second lap time. A third lap time for the Ferrari. I don't think the same can be said for Jensen, who still has to drive to the pits. Take him roughly 1 minute, so that would be at the 2-minute mark getting into the pits itself. Again, it's preparing your car. I don't think he has enough time to set another run here in qualifying. And the first drivers that are going for their final runs, their definite final runs, have come onto the circuit, and Yagizan is leading them in the AlphaTauri, currently P7. Behind him is the Red Bull of Joep, and then the two Aston Martins of TFL Julian and TFL Yuxel. As he's preparing for his final lap in qualifying. Jensen is in the pit lane. And it doesn't look like there's a lot of movement, so I don't think he'll make it for another run, as we said already. Black Box going out of the pit lane now. It would be very close for a Black Box. Jensen is still inside the pit lane, and I think he won't set the lap time. No, I definitely think he won't set a lap time. Jackson, meanwhile, is setting a lap time and is pushing to improve his current position to get at least within the top 3. 21.6 is 33 thousandths of a second faster than the lap time he currently possesses. 16.3. Moving down to 4th gear, 5th gear, 6th gear towards Kamsa, keeping it in 6th gear, immediately shifting towards 7th gear at the DRS straight. Going towards Lakaitsa hairpin and into the final sector, taking a lot of risks, it looks like, but can that improve his position? How will he take the chicane? He won't take a lot of curb on the left hand side, but does take it on the right hand side. On the power, 13, 15, it's a 15.9, and that puts him P3, so within the top 3. The Red Bull of Joop is next. He's improving not by a lot, but it is one position, P8 for the Red Bull driver. As Black Box behind is now setting his final lap time. Jensen not having enough time, as we said, for a third run. Excuse me. Julian goes P2. Yuxol stays in P8 in the Aston Martin. Charles on another lap. Davy still on pole position, is going faster on pole position. His teammate behind is now still behind in P2. Davy knows he's on pole position. 1-2 for McLaren at the moment, but can anyone spoil the McLaren party? Charles is improving by almost 0.2 of a second. A Haas in the third sector has binned it in the gravel, and that would most certainly be Ferrens. He won't improve, he won't take the pole position, and there's only one driver who can take pole position away from Davy, and it's Black Box. But it's not Black Box, because he has invalidated his lap. It's a 1-2 for McLaren here in Spain, as the drivers head into the pit lane or cross the line. But it's a 1-2 for McLaren, and it's the perfect result for the current leaders of the Constructors' Championship. Third place Julian in the Aston Martin, Ferrens in P4 in the Haas, P5 Yagizan, the Turkish driver, with a 15.9, 15.9 as well for Black Box in the Mercedes, and Jensen in the Ferrari. And then we have Charles, Yuxel and Joop for the 8th, 9th and 10th place here in qualifying. But it's Davy with a 1:15.689, 2 thousandths of a second faster than his teammate. The McLaren's being extremely close here in Q3. 2 thousandths of a second between the teammates. That would be something to keep an eye on during the race. Julian not even far behind with a 49. Excuse me once again. A 94 thousandths of a second gap to P1. Ferrens just over a tenth slower than Davy, but without the bin in the final sector, where could he have ended up? Let's get through to the race. And it looks like everyone within the top 7 is quite close here in qualifying. So I'm looking forward to this race. We are ready. We're just waiting for the drivers to ready up. It looks like dry conditions, but a bit overcast. As we wait for the drivers to ready up, we have 20 seconds to go before the start of the formation lap. Eleven viewers at the moment. Thank you for watching. As we are getting ready for the formation lap. As the lights are out. And the two McLarens warm up their tires first. Might they be able to play the team game heading towards turn 1? Will they be able to defend from Julian in the Aston Martin, or will Julian take the lead going into turn 1? Is not something that is unusual at this track. What about Fernando Alonso in real life, going from P4 to the lead of the race? And as a fan of Fernando Alonso, I would highly suggest watching that electric start from him. His last win came in 2013, Fernando Alonso, at this track in Spain, in front of his adoring home crowd. No Spanish drivers here today, though. But the team that he was with for a lot of years, Fernando Alonso, has locked out the front row here in qualifying, and are starting 1 and 2 for the race, which will take 33 laps around the circuit, the Barcelona Catalunya. We are waiting for the final cars to line up on the grid, and it looks like all cars except for one of the Alpines there. It looks like Yardi. Yardi, I think, has disconnected still. But let's go towards the front. 33 laps here in Spain. The final of the car have lined up. We are waiting for the lights to turn on. 5 lights on. The lights are out very fast. Very fast at times that the lights went out. Davy, going towards turn 1, is keeping the lead from his teammate. Julian still in P3. Yagizan in the AlphaTauri, keeping 4th position for now, but it's the Mercedes of Black Box on the inside, taking 4th position from the Turkish driver. And it's still a 1-2 for McLaren, as there's a yellow flag. Fruitful and Joop, and also Sven, not having the best of the starts. Apenstaatje also not having a good start. But there's a lot of battling going out in the midfield. The Alpine of Apenstaatje in P10. Battling with Charles, but it's the Aston Martin of Yüksel trying to make a move here. It didn't succeed quite yet. It's still a 1-2 for McLaren. Heading out of the chicane. Fast part of the track that was replaced by the slow chicane a few years ago. Ferrens in the Haas. Behind Yüksel, using overtake on the Aston Martin. Going towards them one side by side. Yüksel not leaving any space whatsoever to the Haas driver. Yüksel keeping the position. But that took a lot of risk from the Aston Martin driver. As the Aston Martin driver goes wide. Ferrens on the inside of turn 4. And just forcing Ferrens off the track. Keeping the position, but it is being forced off. It says yellow, turn 1. So Red Bull of Fruitful was already DNF'd from this race. And the front group just going in the train. Let's go on board with the Williams driver Jarno, who's 1.8 seconds down. It says yellow flags still because of Fruitful. But he seems, Jarno, to have gotten back in the session. Let's go to the front of the grid. Because from this lap onwards, DRS has been activated. It hasn't been active on the start-finish straight this lap. But the first time it can be used will be towards turn 10, the Lakaixa hairpin. And Davey would have to deploy some ERS to defend from Damiano once he finally gets the DRS on the main straight. But will these two drivers fight each other, or will they defend together? From Julian as Janssen has spun the car out of turn 7, and the Ferrari driver is in P15, just in front of Joey. Joey, I think, has already made a pit stop. And we'll see if Davey can defend from his teammates. And from Julian and from Black Box. Julian is close to the McLaren driver. He's very close to Damiano. Damiano is gaining very fast on Davey. But will he stick behind? He will stick behind. Yes, he will stick behind. And Julian probably knows that they are playing the team game. As the gap is not much at all. I wonder, will Julian try any unconventional place to make an overtake? Having a bit of a luck up. As Jarno, I think, has spun. Yes, Jarno has spun coming out of turn 4. He's back onto the racetrack. But as we said, the McLaren's playing the team game here, making it very difficult indeed for Julian to get past even one of the McLaren cars. The championship leader controlling the race with his teammate quite well, as Julian makes a mistake coming out of the hairpin. Maybe that would give Black Box some encouragement to go for an overtake on the Aston Martin, as the Aston Martin won't be able to try and overtake on Damiano. As Abestaki sets the fastest lap time on the medium tire. Farron's making a move meanwhile in the Haas on Yüksel. As Sven has got past Charles as well. So Sven back into the race after being disconnected in qualifying, up into P10. So into the points already. And Farron's on the move as well. As Sven gets 32nd time penalty. And CTR Jarno has retired from the session in the pit lane. Sven, the first of the drivers to get a penalty this race. And you just see the DRS train farming behind the McLaren drivers. What strategy will they go for? I think they'll go for a one-stop, medium to hards. That would be most likely. This Black Box is pretty close to Julian. He is pushing his ERS, but he immediately deactivates it. And you see Damiano can make the move on Davey, but he won't make the move on Davey because they are playing the team game. Julian is pushing his ERS through turn 3. So he's really looking to get past the first of these McLaren drivers. Oh, Apenstaartje getting into the wall after turn 4, and it's a full safety car. Not a virtual safety car, a full safety car. And that would be a problem for those McLaren drivers. What will they do? Will they stay out? My guess is that they will stay out to switch onto a set of hard tires later in the race. We'll see what will happen. There's also a possibility, of course, that they will switch onto another set of medium tires, going for the set of soft tires later in the race. What will Davey do? Will he stay out? And will Damiano do the same, not the opposite of Davey? Davey is not heading into the pits. Julian, not into the pits. Nobody has gone into the pits. But if it's a full safety car, if I were someone like Sven, I would have gone into the pits just to spice up the strategy a little bit. And Charles is doing just that. Charles is going into the pit lane to go from the medium tires to a new set of hard tire. It looks like a new set of hard tires. Yes, a new set of hard tires. Will he be able to complete the race with those hard tires though, as Luke also gets into the pit lane? Luke Jensen onto the hard tires. So both Ferraris heading into the pit lane. All drivers being able to catch up to the safety car to start the race over. Especially for the ones that have had a lap 1 incident. And I think the safety goal will go in once all drivers have closed up to the leading group of cars. So that would mean when Joop in the Red Bull is closed up to the last Ferrari of Jensen, who's now almost at the rear of all those cars. Looked like Charles in the Ferrari over to Yardi under the safety car. Even if Yardi was an AI, I wonder if Charles won't get a penalty for that. Now, Joey trying the same thing on the AI. And it's the second week in a row, second race week in a row at least, where I have bottled the commentary for the start of the race. Not getting out of my words or just know what to say. And that will look very nicely in the highlights video, indeed. Joey trying to get past Jardy. But the computer, of course, not allowing for that to happen. Joey, you just have to stay behind the AI for a little bit longer. So let's look at the tires. We have 7 lap all medium tires for the entire field, except for Joop, who has gone into the pits a few laps ago, and Jensen and Charles, who have new hard tires. As we said, 25 laps as a safety car will come in this lap. 25 laps of the hard tires cost something around 65% of tire wear. There are 25 laps left in this race. So it is possible for the hard tires, I think, to complete the race. But they will be very close towards puncture territory. Let's put off the tires info. And let's go back to Davey to look where he will go onto the power. It will be coming out of the chicane. And looked like Julian had a pretty bad restart. Black box all over the rear of the Aston Martin driver, who gets the slipstream from the McLaren driver, but both drivers are pushing their ERS. Will Black box be able to go around the outside of turn 1? He is around the outside. Julian not giving any space to the Mercedes driver, but staying in front for now. And that was very close between the top 4 drivers, especially between Julian and Black box. As Jupp has retired, crashed at the exit of turn 2 in turn 3. As Ferrens meanwhile on the rear of the AlphaTauri. And that was the best opportunity, I think, for the Mercedes driver to get past Julian, but not being able to complete it. And the stewards would have to argue if that is worth a penalty, but it looked like Julian just forced Black box off a little bit. And once again they are pretty close to each other. No DRS as of yet. That will come in within a few laps. Once again they are in the slipstream train. Yüksel and Jerry van Bussel meanwhile in a fight. Jerry van Bussel getting past the Aston Martin of Yüksel into P7. As Charles has gone past Joey. Charles making a mistake at the restart, it looked like, because he's P12 while he was P10 previously. His teammate though, P10. 1.6 seconds down on Sven, but Sven of course on the faster compound of tire. Will they have any chance of Ferraris of finishing inside the points, or making a brilliant strategy to maybe get onto the podium or even the win? We'll see if the tires hold on until the end of the race. Once again, the top 5-6 drivers are really close to one another. And this time, it's Julian who's pretty close to Damiano. Not being able to make a move. Ferrens in the Haas. 1.5 tenths behind Jagizan. And he's still 2 tenths down from the AlphaTauri driver, but none being able to make the move. Shall get past the AI of Jardy. Julian in the Aston Martin has not had the season start that he would have wanted. He's going for his second podium of the season today. And he's currently driving in that position. Still the top 9 having to make a pit stop, as the drivers are going in for a pit stop. Black box is going in, Ferrens is going in, Yüksel is going in, and that means on the hard compound of tire, Jensen is up into P7, and it will be interesting to see where will these other drivers go to. It will be the hard compound of tire. So based on the tires where they are going, if Jensen only has 2 lap older harder tires, it has been a pretty good move from him to come into the pit lane early under the safety car to win a lot of time. Charles behind, 7 seconds behind his teammate. Might be able to hold up the cars that are now boxing to play a team game of themselves, just like McLaren are doing. Let's look at the top of the field. Will they pit or will they stay out? 12 laps on the board already. Davy will stay out, having a bad exit. Damiano on the rear of the McLaren, opening the DRS, getting past his teammate. No team orders as of yet at McLaren. Damiano into the lead of the Grand Prix, as Julian and Jagizan both pitting for new tires, trying to protect themselves from the undercut. Jensen coming out in front of both drivers as a Charles, but will Julian be in front of Black Box and Ferrens? We'll see. There we have a Jordi, and he's comfortably ahead of Black Box. Oh, Black Box and Jagizan though in a battle. Black Box in front of the Turkish driver and into P9. Surely though the McLaren drivers will have to pit soon, otherwise they will lose a lot of time to the hard runners behind. And Julian gets past the eye of Jordi. But let's look at Jensen here. He has closed up to the Alfa Romeo of Sven in P4. Just in front we see Jerry van Bussel in P3. And the McLarens have not decided to pit yet, as Jerry gets a 3-second time penalty. Damiano meanwhile setting the fastest lap of the race, as I think that's Yüksel spinning in the final sector down in P12. As Ferrens get past Jordi as well. Let's not look at Jordi anymore, but Ferrens at 18.7 is setting some rapid lap times on these hard tires, and surely the leading pair are losing lap time instead of gaining on their medium tire. So when is the time for them to pit? Surely they can't pit on the same lap. But Julian's still in front of Black Box. And Black Box still in front of the Turkish driver. Order not having changed, but it was quite close at the pit exits. As there's 19 laps to go here in Spain. Is there a McLaren driver coming in? Not as of yet. Julian making a mistake. Black Box on the rear of the Aston Martin. Not getting past in the third sector as Jerry van Bussel gets into the pit lane. Sven into P3, Jensen into P4. Jensen having a penalty, surely not helping his race. Black Box is using DRS, is using his ERS. Can he get past Julian in the Aston Martin? He goes to the left, he can't decide where to go, almost crashing into Julian. And stays behind what should have been an easy overtake on the Aston Martin. Jagizan behind, couldn't do anything about it. Still behind as well. Jensen into P3, Sven into P4. So Jensen overtaking Sven on track. He is currently 6.9 seconds in front of his teammate, and Julian 5 seconds almost behind Charles. So that means Jensen has got more than 11 seconds as Davy heads into the pit lane, trying to go for the undercut on his teammate. Jensen has an 11-second gap behind to Julian. So Damiano leads the Grand Prix still. Jensen though in P2, having done the pit stop under the safety car. Sven in P3 is still having to make his pit stop, and Charles on the hard competitive tire also pitting under the safety car in P4. Black Box and Julian. Once again, real close to one another. Black Box not being able to make a move into turn 1 once again. It's still behind the Aston Martin. And now they are bunching up behind because Davy in McLaren has got right into these cars, right into the mix of these cars, and is in P7 now, so staying out those few laps more has caused Davy to be behind Black Box and not in front of Julian. As Damiano gets into the pit lane, he is realizing he's not gaining any time whatsoever. So where will Damiano end up as Janssen leads the Grand Prix for the first time here in the Talent Factory League? Looking at Damiano, where will he end up? He will be behind Charles. Will he be in front of Julian? I think it will be pretty close. He's going onto the power now. Julian on the right hand side. He is still ahead of Julian. So Damiano in the McLaren, if he can catch up to Charles and Jansen in the Ferrari, can still win his race. As can of course drivers behind, but by getting out in front of Julian, having a good chance to finish in a high position, maybe even win the race. Behind now it will be the DRS train towards turn 1. But will Damiano be able to hold Julian, Black Box and Davy from overtaking him? Looking at the ERS, let's turn on some telemetry and lap data. Looking at his ERS, he has almost 100% of ERS. So that would be some easy defending, you would say, but the DRS is so powerful here around Spain. Julian is activating his DRS, not even his ERS. Damiano is pushing his ERS, and you just see how much Julian is gaining. He's lost 30% of ERS, and Julian got pretty close to overtaking the McLaren. So the question is, how long will Damiano be able to hold on to P4? As Jansen still leads the Grand Prix from Sven, as Sven takes a 3-second time penalty just as we were watching Charles in P3, but rapidly being caught up by Damiano in P4. So will the catching up to Charles by this train will spice things up? Just going on to the final parts of the circuit. As Sven is pitting now, making it a Ferrari 1-2 for the first time here in the Talent Factory League. Not the first time that they have gone out onto the circuit 1 and 2 in qualifying, but the first time they are leading the field 1 and 2. Julian still not pushing, and you see he's getting real close to the McLaren, 2/10 behind. As Sven gets out in P10, just in front of the Aston Martin of Yüksel. 8.4 seconds from Jansen to Charles. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that the tires of Jansen will be dead at the end of the race. And Damiano, by pitting late, has the best tires of this entire train. Davy also having pretty good tires, 1 lap older than Damiano. Of course, McLaren's pitting one after another. You just see the train from P4 to P8. 5 cars all within DRS range of each other. So I'm going to look at Julian. I don't think he's pushing for the overtake as of yet. See, the gap was over 7 tenths. It's getting close to 2 tenths of a second. This black box behind also closed up around 2 tenths to Julian. Still, anything is possible in this race for these drivers. All around a 4 tenths of a second gap. And the gap from Damiano to Jensen is now around 10 seconds. But will he be able to close the gap down to Jensen? And first, he has to get past Charles in the Ferrari, who will do anything to defend for his teammate. I think Julian is pretty close to Damiano now. Still within 6 tenths of a second. Will he go for it? No, he won't. Damiano on 80% ERS is pushing a little bit. Julian is not pushing. And you see, it's just getting closer and closer and closer. And once they get out of turn 1, the dirty air effect will make it so the gap will be once again around 7 tenths of a second. Heading onto the straight for the next lap. Bit of a yo-yo effect going on here. Let's look at the time penalties. What is the time penalty held by Luke? Luke has 3 seconds worth of time penalty, so the gap now being at 9.7, actually at 7.7. When you take into account his time penalty. Damiano closing up to the Ferrari. Getting closer and closer to try and go for the move. Juxo once again gets a time penalty in the Aston Martin. And now the gap is 4 tenths of a second. He's not using his ERS, Julian. But he might start now. No, he's still not starting to use his ERS. Damiano might be wondering, when will Julian come? When will Julian push to go for the overtake? Because he's almost at the rear of the Ferrari. Black box almost out of DRS range, but quickly getting back into it. Maybe making a mistake. And of course, when these drivers take a time penalty, with a massive, giving a massive consequence to their finishing results. Because they are also close to one another. I think Julian is pretty close to Damiano right now. Damiano not having the DRS from the Ferrari. Will Julian go for it? He is activating his ERS at the exits. He's closing up. He's closing up. Not using any ERS. Julian. He could have gone for the overtake there if he just pushed a little bit more. But still, Julian not going for the overtake on Damiano. The question is, why is he not doing that? Because Damiano now getting within the DRS range of the Ferrari. He is within DRS range of the Ferrari of Charles. So let's look on board with Damiano. Can he make the move on Charles as fast as possible? Now, once again outside the second. Can he close up to Charles within DRS range when coming onto the main straight. And can he attack the Ferrari into turn 1? 9.17 is the gap to the Ferrari. He does have DRS, and he's not pushing his ERS yet, but you'll see slipstream, DRS, even those two factors make it so that the gap has come down to 0.2 of a second. The gap that we saw constantly between Julian and Damiano, with Charles going wide in turn 2, not giving encouragement to Damiano to make a move yet. So he's staying behind for now. And this will help Jansen all the more. The gap 8.4 from Charles to Jansen. Taking into account his penalty, it's 5.2 at the moment. So Damiano, after overtaking Charles, if he is able to do that, because Charles knows how to position his car and knows how to use his ERS to not be overtaken. Will the team game play out for Ferrari today? The gap at 0.5 of a second. We've seen that has been enough for a few drivers to make an overtake. He's using ERS. He's using the DRS on Charles. Damiano pushing, getting around the outside of turn 1, which turned into the inside for turn 2. They're still side by side, getting through to turn 3. Damiano on the outside. Charles holding the inside towards turn 4. Can Charles outbrake Damiano? But Damiano going around the outside once again. Into turn 5 we go now. But Damiano has overtaken the Ferrari. And now Damiano will chase Jansen to go for the race win here in Spain. As Charles makes a mistake once again, getting overtaken by Julian in the Aston Martin. And we already said it, Charles in the Ferrari spicing the race up, as Blackbox is going to for a move as well. Blackbox making the move on the Ferrari as Davey gets past as well. Can Charles fight back at Davey? No, he can't. So Charles losing 4 positions here in the span of just 1 sector. Blackbox making a mistake. They'll give encouragement to Davey. He's using his ERS as well as Blackbox and using the DRS. Both low on energy. Can Davey go for a move? Blackbox is giving space. Can Davey go for the cutback? No, he can't. He's still behind Blackbox as Charles has made a mistake and has spun going out of turn 2. Blackbox not having any more ERS because of the blinking lights. And Blackbox in P4 for now. Davey couldn't get past. And the gap from Damiano to our race leader here, still in the number 2 Ferrari, Jansen, is 8.4, 5.3 at the moment with the time penalty applied. And that's still about the same as it was a few laps ago. So is Jansen able to hold on to this position? We'll see. But Julian close to Damiano. I think this is the fight to look out for. Can he now get P2? He's around 80% of battery. Julian doesn't look like he's going for the overtake as Ferrans gets into the pit lane. And the question is, does Julian even want to get past, or is he waiting for the final few laps to make a move on the McLaren? The gap at 8.3 for the lead. And with Ferenc getting into the pit lane. The gap is 3.0 behind to Jaguzan in the Aston Martin. Sorry, in the AlphaTauri. Davey going faster than his previous best lap time here, as seen by the timings on the top right hand side of the corner. But losing quite a lot of lap time behind these group of cars. And now Damiano is started to gain a lot on Luke. Now the gap is 7.7, so he has gained around half a second, a little bit more than half a second last lap. And if he can keep that up, I don't think that will be enough for him to win the race. It's the 28th lap of 33, so 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 6 laps left in the race. And if we would gain half a second each lap, that will only gain 3 seconds, and that would put the gap at 4.7, which won't be enough to take the victory from the Ferrari. Julian now right in the gearbox of Damiano, as Ferenc takes a 3-second time penalty, as Charles takes a time penalty as well. The gap now at 4.5 tenths. Damiano not pushing, Julian not pushing, Damiano now is pushing. And Julian doing the same thing over and over. Not going for the move on the McLaren, just backing off going into turn 1 as Ferenc goes fastest of all, 17.7 after making his pit stop. As we are in the 29th of 33 laps. And they're getting pretty close to the Alpine of Jordi, who will be lapped here in this race, as Joey has spun out of turn 4. So you head back to the train, and as you'd expect from Spain, not a lot of overtaking moves, just a lot of strategy going into the race. And Jensen seems to have figured out the best strategy by pinning onto the hard tires early in the race, earlier than usual, to go for a pretty bold strategy and try to go for the one stop from medium to hard with a long stint on the hard tire. You see Jordi, with him being the ghosted AI, getting passed by all cars in the train. As there's a battle going on as well for P8, Jerry van Bussel holding on to P8 with Sven and Ferenc close behind. Ferenc of course on the new soft tires. Can he get past TFL Sven with those soft tires? He has a lot more grip, you can see it, but it isn't a place to get past here. Turn 4 at Catalunya. Meanwhile, the gap for the lead, 6.4 with the time penalty, 3.4. It's just a question of will Damiano be able to get within 3 seconds of Janssen before the end of the race. And let's look once more at the point of view from the Haas of Ferenc. I think if he'll get a good exit, he will be able to make a move going into turn 1. Sven, though, having the DRS, but so does Ferenc. Sven having a little bit more of ERS. Ferenc going for the inside, getting past Sven. Of course, Sven having the older harder tires couldn't defend from Ferenc even if he had more ERS. And now he's heading for Jerry van Bussel in P8. The gap 5.5 in front, 2.5. You should take into account the time penalty for Jensen. It would be so close at the end. Oh, Jerry making a mistake. Ferenc not being able to make a move as of yet. But I think he'll be able to make a move going into turn 1. Prime opportunity for an overtake here in Spain. Julian. Will Julian finally go for a move on Damiano? Yes, he will. Lap 32. Julian finally gets past Damiano. And now he only has to defend one lap from the McLaren driver to hold on to P2. As Ferenc getting past Jerry van Bussel. So Ferenc up to P8. And now, will Julian be able to go and bridge a 2-second gap to Jensen to close the gap that he needs for the win? 1.7 for the win with the time penalty applied for Jensen. It would be so close. Is Davy on his newer hard tires than the cars in front? Can't do anything to overtake Black Box in the Mercedes. But let's look at the final opportunity that Damiano has to get past Julian. Julian using all of his ERS to defend from Damiano. I think the strategy awaiting to put a move on the McLaren driver has paid off for the Aston Martin driver. The gap 3.8 now for the victory. Was this his plan all along? Will Julian win the Spanish Grand Prix? 6 tenths in it, 5 tenths in it. Looking at the left of the screen, left hand side of the screen, 3.5 is the gap to Luke. Let's go on board with the Ferrari driver. He can win his first race in the Talent Factory League. 3.3 seconds now the gap to Julian. It's coming down at a rate of knots. 3.2. Luke's tires, Jensen's tires are dead. He has the oldest tires of all. 3.2 is the gap still coming out for the final time of the chicane. 3.0. Can he hold on to the lead? 3.1. The gap is 3.1, but it is coming down. Jensen has finished, but will he win? Julian will take P2. Jensen wins the Spanish Grand Prix by 8/100ths of a second after the time penalty has been applied. Well done to the Ferrari and his strategy. Awesome strategy by Luke Jensen, finishing P1 in the Ferrari. Julian takes home P2, another podium for the Aston Martin driver. Damiano P3 after holding off Julian for so long. Couldn't keep him back for much longer. Eventually giving way to the Aston Martin driver on lap 32. And that is our top 3 here today. Black Box behind in P4, Davy in P5. From a McLaren 1-2 it has converted to a 3-5. Still not bad points, but not the result they were looking for. Yagizan in P6, Charles in P7, Ferenc in P8. And I think he has gotten fastest lap. No, Juxel has taken a fastest lap in P11, not getting any points for it. But what a race at the end there. Luke just taking the victory. And of course getting driver of the day. Very much deserved and takes top step here in Spain. And I'm, for once, really looking forward to the driver interviews. And the thing that Luke has to say about this victory here, I'm very interested to hear how much his tires were. I think his tires were around 60-70% or even puncture territory. And with a 3-second time penalty, he wins the Grand Prix. Awesome job. From P7 on the grid. Julian from P2 moves up 1 space, and Damiano losing 1 position from his starting position. Then it's Black Box Davey in P5, Yagzan in P6, Charles in P7 in a sister Ferrari, playing the team game. I don't think Jensen would have won without the help from Charles. So bravo Charles for holding off the cars behind for so long, giving Jensen the victory. Ferenc in P8, Jerry van Bussel in P9, Sven in P10, last of the points finishers. Juxol P11, P12 to Jardy, who hasn't raced today. Then it's Joey, and final position is Joep. Then it's Abstaatje, CTS Jano, and Fruitful, who you could just see down on the leaderboard. So let's invite our top 3. And let's add these players to the party. So it's Davey. Sorry, not Davey. Let's look. Julian. Then we have. Let's just look at the play together. We have Julian, Janssen, and we have McLaren driver. I can't find him as of yet. But let's just invite Luke and Julian to the party. And hopefully we can find Damiano in time to add to the party. Damiano. Let's just look for him separately. Damiano. TFL. Damiano. Well, while we are still searching for Damiano to join the party, let's talk about our winner here today, Luke Jensen. Congratulations, man. Did you expect any of this after the safety car? It was an awesome race. Before we continue, do you have the microphone enabled? Just okay. It was an awesome race. Just finishing ahead of Julian by 8/100ths of a second. Very close. Yeah. Just like Ocon and Alonso in Hungary. It was an awesome strategy. I don't think he would have won without Charles. He did an awesome job holding off the pack behind. But congratulations, man. I really didn't think you were winning after just... I saw the gap coming down a lot after a time, after a few laps. But congratulations, man. So we are just waiting for the awesome driver of Julian, but let's talk to Damiano. Damiano, congratulations on P3. Not the result I think you have been looking for after getting into the lead past your teammate and defending so long from Julian. What was going through your mind when you were overtaken by Julian at the end? And how hard was it to defend from him? Yeah, but every time he was just backing off in the end. I think his strategy was to just go for an overtake in one of the final laps. How did you feel in the car? Did you know he was going for an overtake later? Oh. Yeah, that of course causing Janssen to win the Grand Prix here at Spain. I think it's been an incredible race, a bit of a train the entire race, but the final part of the race was really exciting. Guys, do you have anything to say before I end the stream? Yeah, Ferrari tactic paying off once. Good to see. So, congratulations to the top three. Julian not being here, but we'll close the press conference now. And hopefully, we'll see everyone again in 2 weeks. So, thank you for being here, and bye until the next one.